A pleasure to meet all at last, and here on Why's That, I would like to discuss a couple of things regarding another question that I have been sent. So, as you'll see from the screenshot down below, this exact question asks me, from this person to be exact, why is that you're exhausting every possibility in the world of gaming? I mean, it's like I've said before, some people out there just don't know what they're doing. Some people are literally sending me all sorts of questions that seem to get on the personal spectrum when it comes to my overall work, and even more so, it seems that now people are starting to dig a lot deeper into the rabbit hole that I never even dug to begin with. But that's just the thing about it. The web is a whole new conundrum that we probably can't decipher all too well. With up to 80% of all info on the web seen as lies and absolute conspiracy, I guess it's no wonder why we're probably not going to change anytime soon. I really would have expected the internet to be a lot better, but it seems that it's all the opposite. At least for this whole year, we're having all sorts of things take place. I mean, there's all these discussions about different things. There's all these different subjects that people are constantly bringing up on feeds all over the globe. There's all sorts of events that have transpired into extreme debates and debauchery. And it is sickening beyond belief. If there is one thing, though, that I'm not going to tolerate, it's some people who really want to try and stab a needle through my neck. Take that as a simple subliminal analogy here to describe the fact that what I'm about to say is really an epic answer of a lifetime. So, to put it straightforward, whoever came up with the idea to ask me some question like this can go dig their own grave. Exhausting every possibility? Is that even humanly possible? I mean, it's one thing for me to cover all sorts of genres like horror, action, shooter, RPG, retro, especially with the fact that pretty recently I announced that I would be creating another tangent of GWK that won't be coming out for a while, but the thing is, GWK Back in Time is going to be an anthology series featuring collections from various points of gaming history. Seriously, I'm covering the 50th anniversary collection of Atari games, including the never completed Sword Quest Volume 4 Airworld. That's quite an achievement. Atari was able to finally make Airworld possible, and all the Sword Quest games, of course, they originally got remade. How many times? But this is the only time that I will ever get to experience the likes of Sword Quest Airworld, the game that never saw the light of day because of one huge event in cultural history: the video game crash of 1983. This is what terminated the likes of Atari as we knew about it back in the day, with the likes of the 2600 and 5200 being the current consoles at the time that they put together, and then eventually coming up alongside Nintendo's new Nintendo Entertainment System console with their 7800. And then after some time, they would hop on the bandwagon of portable consoles as Nintendo and Sega did by the end of the 80s and at the start of the 90s with the Atari Lynx. But then, of course, as we know, they eventually would make an announcement of a 32-bit system called the Panther, but eventually scrapped it before it even went through production, to focus on an entirely new piece of development: a 64-bit console called the Jaguar. Yeah, it was a heck of a console that caused a lot of different things to happen, including an entire episode or two of AVGN. That's quite a testimony, if you ask me. But apart from Atari 50th Anniversary Collection, I also had the nerve to go through Sega Genesis Classics Special Edition for the PS4. As opposed to the original Sega Genesis Classics games that we had gotten like on the Xbox 360, this one is much bigger and includes way more games than the older versions did. But I also plan on doing a number of other things. There's Capcom Arcade. There's also, I would also want to point out that there's a number of other things. Pac-Man Museum Plus. GWK Back in Time is going to be doing all of that good stuff. Going back in time to such points in history. But that is in fact a good taste of what I have already done. Ideas that I've pieced together. And I feel like that by this point in time, it really is worth noting. A number of huge things are going to happen. As you probably have already known, or at least heard from myself, of course, there are a lot of premiere videos on my channel. And if you're seeing this in a spectrum where all the premieres are visible, and you probably have to scroll down super far down just to get to the ones that are currently out there, then, like I said, I will apologize if some people think that this is total impediment of a number of things. Like being able to see the current videos that are out there. But I'm going to be real with you. I've got work to do. A lot of work. Not just with the work of having the stuff uploaded, but also with the work of having it rendered and processed. All that stuff to begin with, as I've mentioned before, just to make a single GWK episode would likely take several hours to complete. And the reason for it is because it's simple. First off, I gotta go down to where I have my gaming setup. Sit on my new leather recliner. Turn on the console, turn on the controller, turn on the television, have the Roku set to the PS4's HDMI output, and then of course, have the game loaded, have loading and whatnot, start screen, menu screen, blah 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 blah, play through the game until I get tired of it for the day, have all the stuff recorded of course, shut the console off, shut the TV off, and then eventually I get to a point where I can get my USB flash stick and insert it into the PS4 itself, have the files copied onto it, and once I'm done with all that, I delete all the files from the console itself, take the drive itself, and then go up to my new laptop, have it all dragged and dropped into a file where all the Gaming with Kaiju Force Neo clips are stored in. And I gotta say, almost 230 gigabytes worth of footage is currently in that exact file, which I simply have listed as gaming materials. But then of course, I gotta launch the editing software, which is, by the way, Sony Vegas Movie Studio Platinum. Probably heard about that by now, but that's only because it's still true. And then, what do I do next? Edit the video, render it, process it, correct, and of course, correct. But then what do I do next? When the file is complete, I have a test run of it to make sure that it's audible and visible. Because sometimes, for some reason, Sony Vegas Movie Studio Platinum doesn't entirely work too well. At least with the current version that I got right now. After a few updates, I'm sure the bugs will have been fixed. But the truth is that it happens to be different depending on how it's all set up. Depending on how the audio's set, on the visuals, and a lot of good stuff here and there. So, if that whole process has made sense to you on how GWK episodes are put together, then just know the fact. All these premieres you're seeing are in fact months, even years, worth of my time that I've spent sitting down when I likely could have done a number of other things. I probably could have finished all the books of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, including the more recent Diaper Overload. Yeah, I still gotta finish up on that. But the thing is, if that doesn't serve as a fine example of things I probably could have spent my time with elsewhere, well, just know the fact. my hard work is my hard work. And I likely spend thousands of dollars on the whole process. Yeah, the games, the console, the software, all the equipment I need to make it happen, to make these videos happen, will cost a lot of money. If anyone gets any of that, please leave a comment down below, letting me know your sympathy for all this. Because just to know that I'm now getting questioned in such an insane way, it just proves that this world sucks at times. Like, how can people have the nerve to say that stuff? Oh boy. Well, at least it's not the year 2021 anymore. At least we're not, dealing with another terrorist attack like what happened then. At least we're not having crappy music as much. At least we're seeing good movies again, and they're finally coming back out to theaters, for example. I honestly would just wish that they would be free on our platforms that we've literally been subscribed to this whole time. And on top of that, there are new versions of old cars that we're getting after all these years of them being discontinued. Apart from the Blazer, the Bronco, and they even brought back the Maverick. But that's just a sampling of what's supposedly to come from that. And I really gotta say, my whole life in general, I'd say it's definitely turned a whole new leaf. So, I suppose that with that in mind, that's going to cover everything that I'll need to do for today. But if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.